time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senators Jason York.
Yorkie, good morning. Nice to see you. Welcome to Coming In Hot for Monday, April 22nd. How are you, old man?
Good. You're back. Yeah, I heard you had an interesting...
I'm in Canada.
You've been all over the place. Trains, planes, and automobiles. Traveling. You finally made it home? No, you're not even home yet.
I'll be out of the... No, I'm sitting in a hotel in London, Ontario. So another 5.5 hours or whatever.
Where are you? The Super 8, the Delta? Where are you?
No, what do you think this is? My living room? I'm in a Hilton something other.
Okay.
It's nice.
Okay. Did you guys at least win the tournament if you're going to stay that long?
No.
That's
I was so pissed.
They won
in So they won in overtime in the semifinal, and I was like, okay. And then they lost in the final. I was not happy.
It's almost like you should have just lost in the semis, so you could have come home on Sunday. Who organizes a tournament when you're playing a game that late on a Sunday night? Anyhow,
Yorkie, these guys were from California, Dallas. Like they were all over the country. Everybody was flying afterwards. I was like, I can't afford to fly this trip. We're driving.
Tell me, what is the point of this tournament anyhow? Is there like scouts and schools, people watching there?
I was
there.
We weren't going to play it because just spring hockey. After a while, you're like, no, we're not doing this anymore. It's fun when you're young and you're traveling around or whatever. But it was a family friend. Long story short, relative said, "Hey, it would be good for you to come play in this tournament." Blah blah blah. And that's how we ended up doing it.
The old spring tournaments where you just please don't tell me they ding you for admission when you got to go in the door too. No, right?
Oh,
they're not charging it. Are they?
They did not. I was waiting waiting for them to ask me for $10 or $50 for the weekend, but they didn't. Thank God.
Spring hockey is such a scam. I remember when I was doing it, and I tried to my main objective was not to go to Toronto because it's just a what's the word I'm looking for? The spring tournaments there, you see the worst of the worst of parents banging on glasses, people going nuts. It's just that there's a look that a lot of hockey parents have in their eyes when you walk into the rink. It's like it's go time. They're in the zone. The eyes are crazy.
Yes.
There's some venom coming out, but those tournaments you sign up for, and I knew because I ran my own team and I just did it just because some of these other things that are going on, you pay to play. Who's ever running the tournament's getting kickbacks from the hotel. They're charging you $20 to get in. It's disgusting. It's a total racket.
It totally gets frustrating. I agree with that completely. And there's always 4 dads, maybe 3, that walk each end of the ice so that they can see their kid try and score goals, and then they hammer on the glass. There was some. Anyway,
there's a great video. It's out on YouTube. Just Google "angry minor hockey parent smashes glass." There's a dad just hammering on the glass the whole game. I don't know where it is. He hits it so hard the glass shatters, and all you can hear is this lady in the stands. "Nice job, asshole." And you can just hear her voice carrying on. It's so good. It's so good. But I don't.
Yes, I agree with you completely. No, last 2 points. One, it was a long drive for I'm not sure why. 2, so we didn't know if he was going to be done early or not. So I couldn't book a hotel or didn't know where we were going to end up. I was hoping to maybe drive home yesterday. So I, at the end of the semifinal, booked a hotel. I'm like, it's going to take us like 6 hours to get to London. I need to be here to do the show today, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, get in last night. It's 10:30. I've now driven 5.5 hours, tired. She's like, did you make the reservation here? I was like, pardon? So what? She's like, I don't have your reservation. I looked it up. I booked the wrong date. She's
You
like,
donkey.
you're going to have to rebook this. I'm like, so my son is like just waiting to give it to me. Like, you're a clown. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give you some a really good tip, but it doesn't matter. Your son's older now, so you're almost out of it. Anybody that's listening, save your money. Don't put your kid in spring hockey, and if you're gonna spend any money, do power skating, do small ice games, do
Yep.
go on the ice with Pat Malloy, Shelly
Just
Kettles.
work on your game.
Work on your game. You're far better to pay money for that and play little small area games. You get so much more out of that. Just find a good skills coach, and if your kid really wants to be on the ice, it's much better. That's a sentence. Money spent than spring tournaments like $1,000 a week.
Agreed.
It's a waste of money. I don't mind if you're gonna do it. I don't want to be a hypocrite, but if you're gonna do it, do 3 tournaments, do 4 tournaments, and then spend the rest of your money on skill development if you have it. But that's if you really want to do it, that's how you do it.
So I agree. I sound like a hypocrite. I completely agree with you wholeheartedly. Like Ryan had said at the beginning of the summer, we're not doing any spring tournaments. I'm like, absolutely. I don't want to pay for this anymore. And so if it wasn't for this guy to invite us, but I will, like Yorkie, I did 5 nights in hotels. We will drive 3,000 kilometers.
What are you doing? Listen, you can.
I wouldn't
the other rule of thumb.
I looked on the map. Maybe I should have checked the map.
We did 3 tournaments when my kids were young. We did 1 in Ottawa, 1 in Montreal, and 1 in Kingston because I refused to go to Toronto because the spring tournaments there are a cesspit.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on. But point is, do skill development without question. All right. There's lots of stuff that was they've wrapped up the locker room, right? That's the garbage bag cleanout they like to call it. The players spoke, and we heard about Brady and Jake and Shane all going to the Worlds. It's good for them. Steve Staios spoke the next day, Yorkie. Now, we need to come up with a nickname for Steve. Because Steve doesn't say anything.
Wasn't that good on you? Nice. Was that you that put Steve's job? That was pretty clever.
Did you
show promo today? I like that.
I'm just happy the fact that you noticed it. Yeah,
grinding away in your little motel, working on the show, traveling across the country.
Which you think is my living room?
What do you got?
Yeah.
No,
I was just going to get into
It's too bad you're watching all those spring hockey games. There's great hockey over the weekend. The playoffs these games are unbelievable. Great. That Winnipeg, Colorado game, like, come on. We back in the 80s.
Second time in NHL history that 2 teams combined for at least 6 goals in a period, multiple periods.
It's crazy.
Wow. And so I'm all for playoff hockey when it's 7-6. Right? I love it. So I did see some playoff hockey. We watched some in the car, to be honest with you. But did see the Leaf game in the hotel room and did see what was the last game last night?
Vancouver, Nashville, which was another great game. Nashville, boy, you know what's a shame? We don't get to see a lot of Vancouver. Everybody always thinks of Vancouver, and you always think they're the skilled team, and you think of the Sedins, and you go back. They've always been kind of a soft team. This team has completely changed their identity under Rick Tocchet. They are big, they are heavy, and they still got their skill guys. Like you got Elias Pettersson, you got Quinn Hughes, but the rest of that team, they're beasts. And it kind of ties in, I know, because we want to get in over the next couple of weeks about Ottawa and what they need to do, where they're going. I'll tell you one thing. If you watch the playoffs right now and you look what all these teams have in common, they got speed, they're big. But the biggest thing for me, Wally, is you look how teams are built on the back end. Good teams have big, long defensemen that can defend. Like I was watching, I don't know how much you watched that Boston-Toronto game. Everyone's talking about McAvoy, talking about Swayman, you're talking about whoever, Marchand, Pastrnak. Do you know who Boston's best player in that game was? do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know.
Brandon Carlo. And nobody talks about nobody talks about him because he's just plays D. He's not flashy, but this guy was on the ice for most of those shifts against Matthews and the big guns on Toronto. He is he's a prototypical defenseman of what you need in today's NHL if you want to be a good team. Not a power play guy, but it helps when you're 6'5" and you can skate. And I know those guys don't grow on trees. Right shot defenseman as well. It's the reason Boston's always been a good team. They identify what you need. And man, that guy, because I don't watch Boston that much. We focus on he is such an important player for that hockey team, Brandon Carlo.
It's the Chris Phillips effect, if you will. Like, right, guys that you don't notice but do lots of little things, and they always seem to do them very well.
Great comparison. Well, you hear these terms in hockey all the time. He's got a great stick. He's got good feet. He defends. Well, what does that mean? Because they're all buzzwords, right? Everyone's got these little buzzwords and structure. Carlo is just
good gap.
Yeah, which means basically all this means is you eliminate time and space quicker than other guys, and that's what Carlo does. And that's the difference when you're 6'5" versus you're 5'10". It's just the way it is. And you're 6'5" and can skate. Look at Vegas when Vegas won that cup. Look at Vancouver. Who did Vancouver add on their D to kind of make them change over the last couple of years? They bring in Zadorov. They got big Tyler Myers back there. Susie. They got just big guys that can skate. It makes it so tough in the playoffs. And the other thing I noticed, Wally, as I moved my camera there a little bit, they're letting a little bit more go in the first round this year. Before, it was power play central, which I always hated about the first round of the playoffs. But now they're letting the guys play. They're letting the guys play. And, they're still calling the hooks and the holds, but not. I remember last year in the playoffs, if you raised your stick and you touched the guy in the pants, you're getting a penalty. If they continue to call it that way, Toronto's going to have a really tough time against Boston. I'll tell you that much, to the delight of many Sens fans.
All right. Well, since you hijacked the conversation away from the Sens, we can continue on to the playoffs. No.
Yeah,
I'll come back to it. We'll stay on it. But home team 6-0 so far. Any surprises for you?
Not really. Were there really any upsets? It's still early too, and even though with Toronto, just to go back to Toronto for a sec, if they win the next game, they're right back in the series. Like it's one game, and you just have to win one on the home, but one on the road.
Panics.
Everybody press a panic button. No, I would say surprises. How hard Vancouver plays. I don't know if you heard Rick Tocchet's comments before the game. He goes, "Guys are gonna have to love." After a game, putting ice bags on. When you walk to the bus, you're going to be tired and you're going to be sore. Because that's what playoff hockey is all about. And you could tell that team is taking on Tocchet's identity. I remember playing against Rick Tocchet. He was a miserable bastard to play against. So tough and skilled, but just those are the guys you win with. And that's, I'd say, if I'm surprised at how Vancouver plays, because like I said, I haven't seen them play that much, and they play a lot different than I remember the Vancouver teams of old playing.
This is not your dad's Vancouver Canucks. It's not the Alex Burrows team anymore.
Alex Burrows, ex-Senator.
All right. I will say though, the 7-6 game. It makes me laugh. The same with the Toronto game, right? The Boston comes in. They pretty much. I feel like they dominated the Toronto Maple Leafs pretty well, right? And so everybody in Toronto is gonna be like, "Oh my God, no!" Everybody in Boston's like, "We're gonna sweep them." Everybody who wins game one or loses it is the complete opposite. I think it's going to be a sweep and it's going to be panic. I've seen those blowouts, and then the team the next night come back and win. The team that lost will come back. Right? Let's just wait.
You reset and the momentum. You have a day between games. There is no momentum. The only thing one of the things, not the only thing, that I think is going to be very interesting is Boston. Like Swayman just seems to be, because everyone's talking about it. Are they gonna switch it up? They're gonna keep rotating as they did all season.
Right.
Man, I don't know how you take that guy than that. He is dialed in, like dialed.
But why would you?
That's what they've done all year. So I don't know. But Swayman looks like he's just got such a good read on what Toronto's trying to do all the time. They always talk about players and their ability to read the play. Swayman as a goaltender just understands how plays develop, and he's got great sense and foresight of what Toronto's trying to do.
I just don't understand that. Oh, we got to switch them up because we did it in the regular season. I've heard that argument before, and I'm like,
I know
why? Unless there's a reason.
Yeah, well, it's got.
Anyway.
Maybe if they're thinking long term, but hey, you can't think long term. You got to win the next game. So who knows? We'll see. I'm very intrigued to see who starts the next game for Boston. That's going to be because that's, if Boston wins that game, then it's.
I'll bet you $20. How is it not Jeremy Swayman?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think it will be, but. Who knows? I'm not in Monty's Jim Montgomery's head, so.
Fair. All right, let's take care of some business, and then we're going to get into our Sens talk. It's still waiting for you to pick a nick.
Yeah, your Wi-Fi sucks, by the way.
Yeah,
terrible.
Well, that's disappointing. I can only do so much. Listen, by the way, Yorkie, yesterday, so I brought the microphone and won't, for whatever reason, connect to my laptop. So I went and got a different adapter thinking it would.
Gotcha.
But I had to go to 3 Targets and 2 Walmarts to find it yesterday.
Yeah.
It still won't work.
Well, that's the life of a traveling spring hockey dad. You're like a hockey gypsy.
Okay. All right, enough. Let's get on with this. This show proudly brought to you by BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc., heavy civil general contractors in the Ottawa Valley. Custom crushing, screening, haulage. They do everything you basically need, and they get it done quick, and they do it well. BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc., helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. 613-432-1120 or bonisherexcavating.com. I don't know if there's a Douglas board or not. Oh,
yeah. We got a Wendy's board for you. Oh, there we go. Douglas mattress, Wally. If you want a great night's sleep, which you look like you could use after all the driving you could do, you got to go with Douglas mattress for unrivaled comfort, feel, motion isolation, sleeps cool, relieves pressure points. And it's a great value, loved by more than 200,000 Canadians and 10,000 5-star reviews. You can order it easily online with free shipping. Get Douglas delivered usually in 1 to 4 business days. And every mattress comes with that free comfort sleep bundle, pillow, sheets, and mattress protector. Don't wait. Start your 365-day or night sleep trial by visiting douglas.ca/CIH. Douglas, Canada's best mattress.
And by Wendy's, which don't forget, Cinnabon pull-aparts still available at Wendy's. Get them and a small coffee for like $5. Listen, if you can't pass up the fresh-smelling taste of cinnamon or scent of cinnamon, go to Wendy's and get pull-aparts, I should say, Cinnabon pull-aparts. Wendy's, always happy to enjoy. Oh, and a Frosty. Don't forget to download the app while you're at it. Okay, so I need a nickname, or we need a nickname for Steve.
For Steve?
Subtle Steve.
Subtle Steve. Oh, he's very subtle. That's a good one. I think sometimes you got to let things marinate for a while, because if you can't. Steady Steve. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So,
yeah. Well,
subtle it is for today, because he never says much of anything.
Would you rather what we had before?
I know.
Where you blurt out stuff like, "This is the best trade I've ever made for trading Mark Stone."
Well, So, fair enough. However, when you want to talk about it, it's much more energy. You have lots of material to work with. A pull it. He didn't. So he did say Alfie won't be back as head coach. That's not a surprise.
Oh, looks like we lost Wally. Looks like he's having a little bit of technical difficulties from his hotel room, which I don't even know where he is right now. London, Ontario. So we'll just hold tight here for a minute.
What happened?
Hello there. Are we back?
As I was saying, at some point, Steve doesn't say much, and we knew that Alfie wouldn't be back as head coach. No surprise. So Yorkie, do we care how long it takes now before they hire one?
Well, really, right now, I don't. The NHL playoffs are going on. I think this gets sorted out sometime in the next. Well, there's that old thing. We had that conversation, but they don't really like to make announcements during the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think that matters in this case because you're not going to wait till the playoffs are over, right? At least I don't think to do that. So we'll see. From what I'm hearing, there's been a ton of candidates being interviewed, a lot more than people anticipated. So I don't know. Do we care? I'm sure people are anxious, but at the end of the day, you don't. This is a big hire, right? So you don't You don't want to make a mistake. You want to make sure you have the right guy. You want to make sure the guy you bring in is here for a long time, not a short time. And I honestly, I have no problem with being not saying anything
Okay.
and people wondering. Like this is a good thing. Like you don't want to go back to the way it was before when it was just the Wild West. And like this, people just aren't used to this because it's been so different here for whatever the past 6 or 7 years. And now it's being run like teams that like a team should be. So people are left to guess. And that's just how it is right now. But I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think it's going to go that long, Wally. I think as soon as they identify who their guy is, they'll make the decision, make the announcement, and move onward.
All right. So they've, as we've talked about in the previous shows, they got rid of the head scout, right? Rob Murphy, they got rid of their head pro scout. So is there a concern going into the draft of having people in place, or are we trusting what's available now to do this draft, if you will, right? And this is a team that is struggling with its farm team. There's not a lot right now that we look at and salivate over. Part of that issue, by the way, just so we're clear, some of those guys are playing in the National Hockey League. So
yes,
while other organizations have guys in the minors, like, oh, those guys are playing in Ottawa right now. That should be pointed out first.
Well, if you look at the most important position on the team besides goaltending, the center ice position, Ottawa's extremely young down the middle with Stützle, with Pinto, with Ridley Gregg,
Josh Norris.
Josh Norris is experience-wise, he's still a very young player in the league. So you're very young at that position. Even on the blue line, you got Sanderson, who's your best defenseman, who's he's just still a kid.
Just a baby. Yeah.
He's just a wee baby. And then you got old man Zub back there who's not that old either. So it's a very young team. They inherited a farm system that's not the greatest right now, that they're obviously going to have to work on filling the cupboards there. And it's going to start this year with the draft. The one player I will say is exciting. And I kind of alluded to this when I was talking about what other teams are doing in the playoffs right now, is Tyler Clevin. Defenseman, checks the boxes I talked about. A defenseman who's got pretty good feet, pretty smart, and he's a big body. So that's a guy I think people should be and everybody is excited about him, but watch the playoffs. Look at Ottawa's roster right now. What are they missing the most? People will say goaltending, but I'm going to keep that out of the equation. For me, it is a big, long defenseman that can defend, play hard, box out, and still be able to move the puck. That's what they need. And Tyler Clevin could be that guy. I think he understands that well. Every time you hear him talk, he's like, "Yep, that's what I want to be." So that's a guy I'm excited about. And we'll see what happens in this draft. We'll see where they pick. Like what are they, 7th? And then we'll see what happens with the lottery balls, and hopefully they move up a couple spots. But they should get something good in the draft, which will help. And then it's going to take time to get the farm system back and running. But their core is very young, which when you compare it to most teams around the NHL, it's an advantage. And then you fix that up this summer by adding in some good veterans in some of the pieces and spots you need. Probably right shot D, and probably a forward or two that plays a complete game.
By the way, I just did the Tankathon. Ottawa picked 2nd behind San Jose. So things.
Okay, how do you do this? What's the device you're using to do this? What is it?
Just go to NHL Tankathon.
Yeah,
it's just a website, and the guy has developed the lottery system, and you just hit sim the lottery. It's a simulator.
So really, like, I'm looking where Ottawa is. They could, like, it's not that tough to move up to 5th. Like, it's just a 1% difference between you and Montreal. They're 7-5, you're 6-5.
Oh, wait a sec. Sorry, Montreal should be 8-5, Arizona 7-5.
Okay, there you go.
It's just flipped.
Yeah. What's the most in recent memory? I know I'm putting you on the spot here that a team has. Was it the Rangers a few years back
The
that really
Rangers
jumped up?
jumped up to
What did
get
they?
yeah
It was
to
a.
get
It
it
was a
was the
massive
Capo
jump. Was
Caco.
yeah.
Yeah. Did they?
I
I
think.
think it was.
I.
Is it 10 spots?
It was crazy. So things
Uh,
happen. It would be great. It would be great if that happened for the Senators, where they had they got a little bit of life. It would be. It would be. I'm not going to say fitting, but for a year, we're pretty well. Everything has gone in the opposite direction where you thought it could go. Just get one nice thing to happen for this franchise. You lost your first round pick, you lost Pinto, you missed the playoffs. The goalie that came in didn't have a great year. You had a Norris gets hurt again. The list goes
yeah.
on.
Yep.
Just hey, we moved up 5 spots in the draft and we're picking top 3 now. That would be
Yes.
man. That would be a nice surprise summer present for the Ottawa Senators to kick off the offseason, just get people excited and
Yep.
get, hey, good stuff does happen to us sometimes.
So the one thing I took out of all of Steve's comments, I will say, out of Steady Steve's comments, is
Steady
no buyouts at this time.
No what?
No buyouts at this time.
Yeah.
So,
well,
like
that's today.
people are all, we're going to buy out Jonas Corpusalo. That's not happening.
Yeah, I didn't think that was ever on the table, and I don't think he's just saying that for lip service. It's such a long period, and let's see what happens when the team comes back, new coach, how this team plays, change the makeup of the D a little bit, free agency, the draft. Like I still think something big is going to happen at the draft here. That's just my opinion. I think they're going to. This group is going to put their stamp on the team, and they're going to do it, I think, through the on draft day, because that is the ideal time when, if you want to make a move to change how you do things, change your makeup, change your identity, that's the time to do it.
So we'll get to it after. I will say throughout the summer we will break down probably every player once a show kind of thing to just to discuss their impact. I want to save the Jacob Chikrin chat. Like,
yeah,
I think if you're talking a big player, like there has to be, it's a top 6 player or it's a top 3-4 pairing D man. Like there's got to be, when you talk about significant change, then that's where it has to come from. Like, all due respect, if they trade Angus Crookshank, we're not all sitting here going, holy crap, right? It has to be a big player.
Well, if you look at from when Jacob Chikrin came to Ottawa, everybody knows this. A left shot D who comes into a situation where there are very similar players. It just and he came in here and he provides offense. He's got that great shot, like his one-timer off the offside on the power play is unreal. And the problem is, and I've said this 100 times, they've got Sanderson, who's now kind of moved into that first power play position, along with Shabbat, who's on your second unit, and sometimes Chikrin's over on that left side. And when Norris comes back, that's going to be most likely Norris's spot again on the left side. So we'll see. I just think with Chikrin, he's got one more year, and for him as a player and for his agent, an ideal situation is somewhere where he's going to go and be the guy that's manning the first power play. So it'll be a very interesting summer to see what happens. But it'll be. I'm very intrigued to see what Ottawa does come draft day. So, looks like we've lost Wally again with that great Wi-Fi over at the Super 80 stand in somewhere downtown London. So looks like we'll have to take a little break again until Wally gets his Wi-Fi straightened out once again. Hey, thumbs up.
So, like, as you know, I'm a little bit anal retentive. So I checked the internet connection last night. Of course, I guess when you do it at 11 p.m., it's never the same as when you do it in the morning. So I apologize. I'm trying to use it off my phone now on just internet. So
Well, that's
anyway,
what you get. What,
so I
what type of
apologize,
help?
everybody.
Spend the extra cash and go to a good hotel. Has some Wi-Fi. You're getting, my God, you better get some points or something when you go to the front desk. You like a Hilton Honors member or something?
Yes, but they're not giving me points because I can't work my internet. Anyway,
Sure they will.
let's make this quick before I crash again.
All right.
We were at the draft and talking about Jacob Chikrin.
Yeah. I finished when you're off. It just with Chikrin, it is what it is. It's a situation where you have a lot of left shot D that are similar players. I talked at length at the beginning of the show about, if you look, here's a great example. Boston Bruins have been a really good team for the last little while. Their number one defenseman is Charlie McAvoy. Their second defenseman isn't another right shot defenseman that plays exactly like Charlie McAvoy. It's Brandon Carlo, who's 6'5" and does something different, brings a different skill set. His specialties are having a great stick, being long, hard to play against. Ottawa just doesn't have that player currently on their roster. And that's, to me, that's something that they're going to have to try and address. And that's the nice thing about when I was talking about Tyler Clevin. Like, he's got a chance to be that big-bodied, long defenseman that that can grow and mature into that role. Because that role is very tough to play, by the way, because you know it's the hardest thing to do in the NHL when you're a defenseman is to defend, because you can't hook, can't hold. Everybody can skate, and you can get exposed and look stupid in a hurry. So that's why you don't want to rush guys like that. But we'll see. This is going to be a huge summer for Tyler Clevin, and I'm sure he knows it.
By the way, just back to the playoffs quickly when you're talking about defensemen. So how far away is Ottawa when you're watching this year's playoffs from, when I say that, for Ottawa competing for a playoff spot?
Well, with their current roster, with no changes being made, and they just went in, let's just say we're going back into the season with the exact same team we have, they're not making the playoffs. Yeah. But with Ottawa making some changes with their roster and making some moves and making the right moves, I think it's possible they can be a playoff team. For sure they could. Look how close Philadelphia was this year. If they very easily could have been a playoff team. Buffalo actually battled right to the end, and I consider, at least on paper, I like Ottawa's group better than Buffalo's. Look at Detroit, right there to the end. When you watched Ottawa play Detroit this year, I kind of like Ottawa's makeup more than I like Detroit's. There's some, I just talked about defense, and like there's going to be some things that need to be addressed. And if those things are addressed properly, for sure, I see Ottawa as a playoff team. But like I said, those things will have to be addressed, and I'm sure they will be.
But the only issue is, Yorkie, I don't know that you can do them all in one summer. And I'm going to add a caveat to that. Your general manager has never been a GM before.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of heavy lifting for I like Steve Staios. I have no idea if he knows how to be a GM. Like, I don't mean that facetiously. I just don't know. And so I don't know if he can get that all done in his first year on the job.
The biggest thing you need to do when you're building a team, trying to make changes, is identifying, number one, what you need. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows what the Ottawa Senators need. And then you just have to, you got to look around the league and see what's available, see what other teams. Listen, there's going to be very shortly 31 very unhappy teams. There'll be one happy team. That's what happens. If you don't win the Stanley Cup, you got to make changes. So Ottawa's not the only team right now that's saying, hey, we got to change some things. that's just how this league works. And Ottawa's got some really nice assets. Like, if let's just talk about Chychrun, for example. That's a guy that if Ottawa does decide to trade, a lot of people are going to be lined up to trade for Jacob Chychrun. You get a young defenseman that at that value, you're going to get something very good in return. And I'm not saying he's going to get traded, but if they do want to make that deal, that's a good place to start for the Senators. So we'll see. It's just that'll be the challenge for Ottawa this year. And once again, I think we have lost Mr. Brent Wallace. So what happens when you Wally? My God.
Did you do a soliloquy there and talk eloquently, and now we can move on to the next topic?
I was pretty good. I was just saying, like, I've kind of beat this horse to death here.
Yeah.
If they do want to move one of their D, and I just said, for example, if it's Chychrun, you'll get the guy's got a lot of value in the league, man. Like, he's not a lot of teams are looking for a guy to run their first power play. A lot of teams, mobile, can pass, can shoot. Those guys are very hard to find. It just so happens that Ottawa's got 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
So like, it's a weird situation.
Quickly, last topic before we get out of here. By the way, over at our sister network, I guess, dailyfaceoff.com, a new playoff parlay game is ready for you to play and win daily prizes. So it's called the Daily Faceoff Playoff Parlay Challenge. Each game day, answer 4 questions, pick the winning team, guess if points will be over, under, predict the first goal, and choose the highest scoring period. I wouldn't do that for the Avs game. Just a little tip.
Wow.
Daily winners, gift cards. Each round's chance pocket cash. So yesterday, someone won a $25 Amazon gift card, I believe it is. Play now. Go to games.dailyfaceoff.com. It's called the Daily Faceoff Playoff Parlay Challenge. So there you go. Anyway, just win some prizes. Why not? Yorkie. So the last topic was Josh Norris. And by the way, Steve Staios did say both about Norris and Chychrun. And as he would say with any player you asked him, we value all our players. We love them all.
For sure.
I'm just curious of what, if anything, is the thought process on Josh Norris. And I don't mean that, again, facetiously. I'm just like, there's got to be some concern.
For sure there's concern, but the only thought process is get this player healthy, get him back at camp, get him playing again, because there is no other option. You're not, even if, let's just say he was one of the guys you were thinking of trading, you can't right now because nobody's going to trade for him. It's just too many for the player, for the organization. The best possible thing to happen is Josh has a great summer, rehabilitates, comes back 100%, and resumes his career and stays healthy for a long time. That's what everybody's hoping for. It's a boring answer, I know, but that's the only that's the only option. It's the only option. Get him healthy, have a great summer, come to camp, participate this year from day one. And like this year, remember what happened? Like, he didn't get to play any of the exhibition games. So it was, that's a tough start. So get a full camp, get exhibition, be 100%, and get back to feeling confident, feeling strong, and for all parties concerned, that's the best possible thing that could happen. And then move forward and see what happens.
Love the player. I'm just hoping he has a full recovery.
Last topic. Yeah.
The Boston-Toronto, I meant to bring this up at the beginning. I apologize. The Boston-Toronto game is going to be it may change in game 2. It looks like it's going to be a war of attrition. They I'm not trying. I'm not going to force this anymore, my friend. I'm going home. We'll be set up tomorrow, 9:30 a.m.
Sounds good.
I apologize, everybody. I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Feel shame. Where's the shame bell? I need to ring that on you. Anyways, not your fault. What are you going to do?
Okay.
Anyways, we'll see everybody tomorrow.
I don't like it when stuff goes wrong. I apologize. See you, Yorkie. Enjoy your day. Thanks, everybody, for hanging in there. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.